Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Mai, and today's video is just gonna be a bunch of trees on a lot. And that's it, that's the end of the video. Thank you for joining me. But no, not really. It's actually going to be a big hill. And under that hill is going to be a house. And the idea behind this was just, I don't know, I thought, what if I tried to do this somehow? But I didn't want it to be like a hobbit hole or anything. I literally just, I don't know, wanted to imagine just a hermit, a bit of a hermit that just didn't really want to be out in the world and just wanted a little privacy. They found a really cheap lot in Forgotten Hollow, but they're not a vampire. Forgotten Hollow is the world that came with the Vampires game pack, for those of you who might not know. But yeah, they just found a cheap lot because housing prices are insane. And I don't know, they just also didn't really want to be exposed to the vampires, so they were like, oh, you know what would be a really great idea is what if I just build my house underground, and then, you know, the vampires won't find me, and neither will my family or just the general outside world, and I'll get a little peace and quiet. So yeah, this is kind of fun to do because I just like did a lot of just landscaping, but I made it a little bit messy because I wanted it to just look really natural. I didn't really want it to feel super manicured, because I wanted it to just feel like, I don't know, like they literally just built their house under the ground and just kind of left the rest to just grow. And yeah, I used a ladder so that I would use like the minimal, like yeah, just the minimum amount of outside space as possible. And I used a lot of evergreen trees, and I think they're called mesquite trees as well, and also a bunch of these kind of like dead ones that came with vampires, so that, I don't know, it matched the rest of the world a little bit. I did try to kind of look around and see what kind of trees the world used, because that's actually a great way to make your landscaping look natural, is if you kind of match it to the rest of the world. So I did make sure to do that, and I did, though, probably make it a little bit more kind of overgrown than the rest of Forgotten Hollow. But I guess that's also because, I mean, I just didn't want the lot to look super empty. I wanted it to actually, I don't know, have a little something on it. And yeah, I used a lot of ferns as well because I felt like they looked good. I think most of the ones that I used were from vampires, and maybe some of them from Outdoor Retreat as well. I think that painted fern for sure is from vampires, but then I think this kind of yellowish one that I'm using is from Outdoor Retreat. And yeah, of course, had to use the low-lying pale flowers. And also, I just wanted to thank you guys for your patience that I had to skip Wednesday's video. And yeah, I'm still kind of trying to grasp the way that my new routine is going to look like, and I just need a little bit of extra time to figure that out. So yeah, I hope it was worth the wait. This was, I mean, still a very fun build to do. The house itself is pretty tiny, but I think the concept was a little bit interesting. And we are starting off with kind of figuring out this little entryway area. I wasn't sure if I wanted it to be like, you know, kind of post-apocalyptic bunker vibes, or I don't know, somehow just pretend like it's a regular entrance to a house. But I decided to go with this door from Werewolves that's kind of industrial, a little bit kind of, I don't know, got some wear and tear on it, which maybe kind of gave the illusion that someone was trying to get in, which is something that like the vampires do, is that they kind of try to get into your house, or they kind of, I don't know, they want to invite themselves in somehow. I don't remember what it was that the weird trait was, but yeah, so I don't know if vampires have tried to get into this house somehow. But yeah, I also added a lot of thorns just to really make it look like kind of overgrown, just to really sell the, I don't know, the kind of like creepiness of this entire place. You know, I feel like that kind of helps it fit in a little bit better with the world, is to make it a little bit creepy, and also trying to see how to, I don't know, just how to create the basement so that it doesn't also kind of stick out too much, like underneath, and, or I guess on top, not underneath, but yeah, so that it's not super noticeable, just from the outside of the lot. And yeah, just figuring out kind of what I want, the wall height, all of that fun stuff, the layout of this one. And I did place one bedroom and one bathroom, and here I am also just trying to figure out the style. So I wasn't really sure what I wanted the person that lives here to be like. I was thinking, should I go kind of cottagecore or something? Should I maybe go for something a little bit elegant? I don't know, maybe actually make them a vampire. And I ended up settling on, I don't know, making it kind of look like a normal house, but also kind of, I don't know, in my head, the person that lives here is an artist, and they really are just kind of a hermit, and they just wanted to get away from the world and find, I don't know, just find themselves. I'm not super sure why they were so mad at the world, but yeah, I did kind of give them an artist vibe to them. And I also gave this lot the off the grid trait, which I don't know if you guys have tried the lot traits or if you guys use lot traits, but pretty much they are, yeah, I mean, they're just traits for the lot, and there is one that's called off the grid. I think that might have come with, maybe it's from Eco Lifestyle, or I don't actually remember if it's for everybody, like from base game or something, if it was in an update. But yeah, it's off the grid, so electricity doesn't work. Maybe plumbing doesn't work either. I'm not quite sure I remember well enough. But practically, yeah, you don't have any like bills or something because, yeah, you just, I don't know, you live off the grid. So I felt like that also kind of fed into a bit of a hermit vibe, also a bit of like a frugal thing because you're like, oh, I don't have to pay any bills. And also this fun thing that we're working on right now, I want to take a moment to appreciate. I added a greenhouse kind of thing, an underground greenhouse, so that the sim that lives here has pretty much everything that they need, because I think you can, if you have like cottage living, you can make like plant-based milk and stuff like that. I don't know, so I think you can probably survive without having any bills or having to buy any groceries, I guess, if you play with the simple living lot trait. Not a lot trait shoutouts today, but yeah, so I made this kind of indoor greenhouse to really also sell. I guess if you do want to pretend that this is kind of a post-apocalyptic world and your sim just kind of wants to live here and yeah, hide from the zombies, I guess this lot would also kind of work in Strangerville. But yeah, now we're working on the kitchen, and I decided to have a little bit of the cottagecore element and use these counters from the Country Kitchen kit, I think. And yeah, I also placed this flower arranging table, which is really cute. I was considering doing that like foraging shelf thing, but I did go with the flower arranging table because I also wanted to give them a lot of like skill building items and a lot of hobby items, because I really didn't want them to get bored, because I mean, you can't have a TV because it's off the grid. And yeah, I mean, I did place a bookshelf too though, so they can also read, and I also place like a guitar. You'll see all the little hobby items that I add. But yeah, I made sure to place all of these appliances that are off the grid that actually do work. And I did kind of cut out just just the paused kind of game of me just reading through items to see if they're actually off the grid. Because there were a lot of moments where the screen would just like stop while I was trying to read if items were off the grid. And yeah, I made sure to cut all of those out. And yeah, just placed a tiny dining table. This house is probably good for up to 2 sims. Anything more than that, I mean, you'll probably have to make the hill a little bit bigger. But yeah, I really like the way that these chairs from Jungle Adventure look in this space. I wasn't really expecting that to fit in, but yeah, I really like it when I get to kind of, I don't know, I get to combine a lot of different packs and styles and somehow they still look harmonious. That always feels like such a big accomplishment for me. And here I am also kind of checking out these smaller appliances that we have available. So I was trying to see if we had any like microwaves or kettles that were like functional off the grid, but the only thing that I could find was this tea set from Wedding Stories. Yeah, I was gonna say Wedding Adventures. No, it's Wedding Stories. So yeah, this tea set from Wedding Stories game pack, and I made sure to include that, and I took my time to figure out like which way the clutter would all look best and where. And yeah, I wanted to make this kitchen feel very lived in. They definitely don't have any professional cleaners coming all the way down here to make things look nice. So I let things look a little bit cluttered. And of course I wanted to add a little fireplace. So I chose this one from, I think, Snowy Escape, and I placed down a little diagonal. It is technically for 2 tiles, but on a diagonal, the 1 tile works perfectly. And I made sure to include a little desk area as well. And I do place a typewriter, and for some reason the typewriter in this game is not functional off the grid, which makes 0 sense because a typewriter would definitely in real life be functional off the grid. I don't know why they would do that. I think that they need to fix that, but yeah, I place it anyways. If it's not functional, you can just get rid of it, but for aesthetics, it looked great. And I don't know, maybe the person that lives here, I don't know, is a writer as well. Because they're an artist, I feel like, I don't know, as an artistic person myself, I feel like that creativity kind of translates to a lot of different forms of media. So for example, I love to write, but I also like to paint, but I also like to bake, but I also like to crochet, and I feel like they all kind of work together in a way as well. I think even, you know, my affinity for writing even translates to like building, because I try to think of different scenarios, different kinds of people that live in these houses, and then, I don't know, based off of those stories, I find it easier to decorate and design. So I don't know, I feel like maybe they're that kind of person as well. If they're a little bit creative, they're probably going to want to try a lot of creative activities. And I decided for the artwork to place those little kind of vintage posters from the Cozy Bistro kit, and I really liked the way that they looked. I was kind of struggling with the frames to try and make them kind of match the rest of the world, but yeah, I figure it out, and I just kind of go with a bit of a colder brown because that's the kind of browns we're going for. And this is where I remember that we're off the grid, so that TV wasn't going to be functional, so instead I switch it out for this chess table. So hopefully there are more than, or like there are 2 Sims living here, because if not, that chess table would be very sad with the 2 chairs but just 1 Sim. And yeah, I remember that because we have the off-the-grid trait, I probably need to add some candles around to have a little bit of lighting, because if not, we're probably going to be in the dark for most of the time. And yeah, over here, I actually just decided to place this little lamp instead of wall lamps. So there is just a bit of a fire hazard, maybe. Is it a fire hazard? I don't know. If anybody knows anything about fire hazards, let me know if that is one of them. And make sure to add a lot of plants, because I feel like if not, this house would probably be very sad. And also, I do recognize that technically there is no light to nourish these plants, but you know what? It's The Sims, and we're just gonna pretend that that's not happening, and we're maybe going to pretend that there's some kind of UV, I don't know, light lamp or something that is feeding them a little bit of sunlight. And we're working on the bedroom now. I really love this bedroom. I really like these little nightstands that I use from Cats and Dogs. There's just like something about them that, I don't know, I haven't used them in a lot of builds, but they really worked in this one. I decided to use that bed from the For Rent expansion pack because, I don't know, it just felt a little bit ornate, and I really liked that green color. It felt like it looked really pretty. And I used the wardrobe from Cottage Living, which also looks really beautiful. And this is where I kind of start adding some more hobby items. So I placed this little easel. So maybe it would be nice to kind of replace some of the other artwork that I've placed with maybe some of the stuff that your sim makes. And over here in this corner, I thought about adding some more hobby items, but I think instead I end up adding just a little armchair that looks really nice. And yeah, I decided to go with this one from, I think it's just like a base game kind of unlockable item. So yeah, I think it looked really great. And I thought about adding that big lamp from a base game, but instead I decided to place a plant. And I think I placed a little end table next to it with a little plant on top. So yeah, I just thought, you know, instead of adding some more lights, I can just add a little bit more life, which also kind of brightens up the room in its own way. I think mostly just by like adding a little bit of color. And over here, I decided to also kind of clutter up this wardrobe. I placed a keepsake box. I don't know if the Sims here are actually going to end up having children at all. You're probably going to have to, again, expand the hill somehow, or maybe build a basement underneath so that it goes even lower down. That would definitely be like post-apocalyptic. Create another level just to like add another bedroom. I feel like that would be crazy. That's kind of like Fallout shelter stuff. But yeah, also here I'm just adding a little bit more artwork just to, again, kind of make it feel loved and lived in, not super dystopian, because I feel like that it's a slippery slope. Get it? Slope, because it's a hill. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. And yeah, just adding, also, this stereo is probably not functional because of the off-the-grid thing, but you know what, we're gonna be ignoring a lot of things because it's Sims. It doesn't matter. It looks good, and aesthetics mean something. I really love these little tapestries that I placed around the bed because I didn't place anything behind it, just yeah, I just didn't think it was necessary. And yeah, those tapestries just kind of help add a little bit more of that art. And here we have our bathroom, which I used a lot of the items from the Vampires game pack because it was functional off the grid, which is pretty great. And yeah, it looks really nice. It's very simple, but functional. And here we're just going back and kind of adding a little bit more of those clutter items. I didn't clutter up the desk because I forgot. And yeah, here's where I'm kind of trying to see what I can actually place on this desk that will make it functional. And I do think Sims team, you need to make the typewriters functional off the grid. That just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I can see now that there's like some random screen on the typewriter, which just feels so stupid. I mean, come on. At least give us like a typewriter that doesn't have a screen. I don't know, this feels a little bit ridiculous. I don't know if anybody agrees with me. I think typewriters should be at least like the one kind of computer item that you can only write on. And in my head that makes sense. And yeah, here we're cluttering up that little coffee table as well, and we are at the screenshots. Ooh, this is exciting. I don't think I changed a whole lot. Also, these screenshots of just the trees is so funny to me for some reason. I'm like, there's really not much to see except just a bunch of greenery and maybe some rocks. And there you can see the Sims in the corner. And here we have our entryway. Not much of an entryway. No, this is technically our real entryway, or maybe this is like the porch. Also, it's kind of funny to imagine like the post person coming to drop off the mail down there. That would be so sad. But yeah, now we're looking inside. Over there you can see on the shelves above the flower arranging table, I just kind of cluttered it up with a bunch of plants that look really nice. And I think I might have also added some cat items, but I might have forgotten a cat bowl. I will check. Maybe I'll check. But yeah. Oh yeah, I added a litter box, so I must have added a cat bowl somewhere, potentially. But if you do download this and I didn't add a cat bowl, feel free to add it. Remember to add one. Because yeah, I guess this would be a nice place to have a cat. Maybe that's the other person that the Sims here play chess with. That's kind of a funny image for me. And yeah, just added a little bit more love in here, a couple more plants I think as well, just to, again, add that life. And I feel like this would be a really fun kind of cozy build to play in, and added a lot of flowers. Over there on the end table or nightstand I added a little notebook with a mug, you know, in case that they wake up in the middle of the night or something and have some big idea that they need to write down. My mom always has a notebook next to her bed just in case she wakes up with an idea, which I think is super cute. And here we have our bathroom, which is going to be the last space that we see. I hope that you guys enjoyed this build as much as I did. Bye buds, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Comment and share with your friends. Talk to y'all soon. Bye!